Hello everybody, welcome into Tuesday Night Thunder Season 3, race number 2 back live at Talladega Superspeedway. Joining me in the booth tonight, Dawson Wise. How you doing, Dawson?
I'm doing pretty good, Austin. Glad to be back with you for some more Tuesday Night Thunder. Last week was a great race. I expect we're going to have another good one here tonight.
Certainly are. Now we'll start off actually here tonight with the race info. We'll pull that up in just a moment. But I mean, overall, looking at things being pretty much the same. We're back, of course, in the Xfinity Series. A couple guys I think maybe wanted us to head to trucks, but nonetheless, we are indeed back in the Xfinity Series. Oh, didn't mean to pull all of this up at once. Give me just a quick second here to get that fixed. And so as we try to get things rolling off here, I mean, Dawson, more of what we saw last week in the sense of same cars, going to be the same format, but I mean, what do you look to see different tonight than what we saw last week?
I think it's just going to be more adjustments. I think these guys are going to be more comfortable tonight. I mean, certainly after a week of practice, they've got it under their belts now. They've got that little bit of adjustment period. I know a lot of these guys ran some practice, and we also have a little bit different setup under these cars tonight. I can tell you that much. We tested some stuff during the week over the course of the last several days, and I think we've got something that'll finally work and make these guys more stable, able to push a little bit better, and we won't. We're not going to have those same problems. But I think that's a lot of what you're going to see tonight. The field's a lot of the same. About 27 guys on track. A lot of them were here last week, so a lot of them know exactly what to expect, and a lot of them were able to test that new setup that we've got underneath these boys tonight. And so hopefully that helps them. And get more used to this car and not used to the truck, which may be a little bit difficult because, hey, I mean, we raced the trucks on Thursday night, obviously, and these guys have been used to that, but you got to retrain your brain like we talked about last week, and I think these guys are in a position to do that here tonight.
And yeah, I was going to say, currently having some issues here with the SDK. It actually had a couple little startup errors. I thought it got itself fixed, but so far, not so good. So what we'll probably have happen here is Dawson will be commentating these first couple laps. We apologize, of course, for not being able to get the starting grid and other things off. And I'm going to see if I can get this worked out in the meantime. If we can't, I'm still going to commentate the race. And, I mean, looking to kick us off here, it's going to be two teammates anyway. Kevin Freeze and Garrett Maines in row 1. NBG has got a lot of their guys up there. Baker in a really good-looking scheme here tonight as well. We'll talk more about that later. But going to roll up to the restart zone here for the first time tonight. And as they do so, starter has the green flag in air. 60 laps at Talladega. Starts now. Green flag in the air.
Lap 1 in the books. Kevin Freeze leading over Alex Hill. He's got his teammate Garrett Maines. Teammates lined up on the bottom as well. Hill, Nagels, and Merck. Kenny McCullough coming forward a little bit. We talked about Matthew Baker's new scheme. That's a great look tonight. Obviously, October being Breast Cancer Awareness Month, Baker deciding to pay tribute with that black and pink version of his scheme that we're so used to seeing him run. Here comes Jason Maines to the outside. Jason making some noise here early. Kenny McCullough says, I want in on that party. He goes to the outside as well. They got Devin Ray, John Mullahan up there. Some of the McCullough boys rolling towards the front here very early on lap 2. Very, very much more aggressive than we saw last week. Alex Hill, holy cow, blocks Freeze out to the wall. Freeze has to go all the way third line. Now the third line starts to move, though, as Kenny got to Kevin's bumper. Bottom line now dead in the water. It's just Cody Nagels and Jeff Merck. Alex Hill gonna lead lap number 3 here. Kevin Freeze on the outside. Bottom is really fading, but neither of these guys content to move. They're gonna stay right where they're at. Garrett Maines pushing on the back of Alex Hill. Kevin Freeze getting help from Kenny McCullough. Alex gets clear. Let's see if he goes down in front of his teammate here. Nope, gonna stay right where he's at. stay home in the middle. It allows Baker to get a nice little run. He's pulling through the field now. A couple other cars coming through the field. Josh McCullough, Devin Ray. There goes Garrett Maines. He says, all right, Alex, you're not going to do it. I'm going to do it for you. He makes the move before Alex even does. 3 wide for the race lead up front. And that is Garrett Maines in the 1 going to the lead. As Alex Hill comes back to the outside, still 3 wide off 4.
All right, and it looks like we got at least the tower up. The rest of SDK not working too well, but that's all we need because these guys going to be swapping positions a lot. We got to keep an eye on it. That bright red. Looks like he's got a new paint scheme here tonight as well. Sean Hill still sitting in front of his teammate, but it's going to be Kevin Fries who is running that 3rd lane. He'll now drop down to the middle to try to lead a couple more laps. A couple different guys that maybe we don't normally see in the field here tonight, but one of the schemes that's catching my eye is right here, Devin Ray. Good looking scheme here tonight for him. I believe that's a new one. Of course, one of the newer additions to McCall Motorsports. And, you know, as we talk about new additions and among other things, how about John Darnell? Unfortunate news for John. We knew he was on Hyper Motorsports, but apparently looks like he got laid off recently. So tonight, went out, made himself a Ghost Racing Network paint scheme, and he's looking to prove everybody wrong to see if he can get his first win in Tuesday Night Thunder here tonight.
Well, it's what you have to do. You have to be motivated and go out and do it for yourself. That's exactly what John Darnell is doing. And major props to just kind of basically turn around off the heels of that and say, you know what, I'm going to make something good out of this and just go for it myself. And like he said, prove everyone wrong. So what he's going to try to do. He's running close to the tail end of this lead draft, but he is starting to make his way forward a little bit. And a typical, I believe it's the 99 still, might be the 98 tonight. I can't really tell from the vantage point that I have. Oh, wow, I thought we were going to look 4 wide back there on Aiden Kirk. If anybody was with me the last few weeks in the Little Guys series or last night, Aiden Kirk made serious noise against some of these big dogs that are in the field here in Tuesday Night Thunder. So expect that bright green 8 car to be coming to the front here pretty soon. But up front, though, all Maines boys, Maines and Fries leading both lines.
And so far, it looks like guys are handling a little bit better than what we saw last week. Again, couldn't really look at the track temp as SDK wasn't really helping us out. But nonetheless, so far it's been 5 laps completed, and we've been 3 wide for all 5. And that first caution, well, really the only scheduled caution is, of course, going to fly at the end of lap 20. And the stage break is going to award some extra points. So as we see every week, guys continue to fight so aggressive forward. And I mean, Dawson, I just feel like if I'm out there, unless I'm a guy that really needs the stage points, I like the idea of just keeping my eyes forward and going for the win. But they always are so important at the end of the season. And with the new playoff format at the end of this season, guys trying to get every single point they can get wherever they can get it. And Matthew Baker, last week's winner, he's looking to see if he can maybe get himself a stage win here, as we will be coming to 14 laps to go in stage 1.
Yeah, stage points are important, but wins are also now important. We've gone to a win-in-your-in system. As long as you run 75% of the races, you're going to make a start in the playoffs as long as you get a race win. So stage points are important, yeah. If you're one of the guys like, you know, a Kevin Fries, a Matthew Baker, a Garrett Maines, a guy that's going to run up front every week and finish well every week, you know, for those guys, it's a little bit more important. But for a guy like, you know, maybe an Aiden Kirk, maybe a Logan York, maybe a John Mullihan, a Josh McCullough, maybe these guys that are running 3 or 4 cars back, I think you just put your eyes forward to the win. It's more valuable to go win a race than it is to go get stage points, because all you have to do is win one race, show up for 75% of the races, and then you're in the playoffs no matter what. You're running for the top 8 payout, I believe it is, the end of the season. So I don't know, if I'm one of those guys, maybe I just, you know, like you said, put your eyes forward. Oh my goodness, how did Jeff Merck not wreck that race car? He was dead sideways in the middle of 3 and 4.
And we were actually taking a look back there at John Darnell and Matthew Baker switching driver cams, 2 of the 3 guys carrying it for us. But yeah, a close call up front that we saw here in the booth for Jeff Merck, was able to hold on though and continues to go straight. And you know, I almost think if you're Baker, you got to be the happiest guy and in the best position here in the field tonight. You know that you're going to run the rest of the season. You're already locked in the playoffs, so you got nothing to lose. You just go out here and can try to contend for the win each and every week. And man, he could be bringing home some serious dough for NBG if he's able to finish like he did last week here quite a few times throughout the season. Still 3 wide up front. On the outside is Matthew Baker. He's got a teammate now leading the middle. It's Cody Nagels. And Jeff Merck, of course, still on the inside, getting a push right now from the 7 of John Mullihan. And then Kevin Fries has now gotten shuffled back behind Garrett Maines. He sits 3rd in the middle. Ken McCall Jr., one of the veterans, with another veteran, and Jason Maines. They continue to roll the top, and don't look now, but here comes Daniel Everhart and Christopher McCall.
Yeah, for a second there, it was all NBG on all 3 lines. It was a show of strength we haven't really seen from that team the last several weeks. They've been good, but not great. And tonight, already flexing their muscles here in the Xfinity car. We know those guys love
and
this.
We're going to go 4 here.
And yeah, I do believe you're right. Eberhardt, McCullough going to the outside 4 wide. They said, that's not enough for me. I'm going to go out to the outside wall. And I don't think it's going to work for them, though. They don't have a lot of help. It's just those 2 out there right now.
And I feel like when we're up here in the booth, whichever one of us catches him go 4 wide first just always has to stop the other, because it's one of those hold your breath moments. As soon as they fan out 4 wide, you know that if anybody makes even the slightest mistake in terms of holding that wheel steady, it's going to cause the big one. But yeah, you noted it there. They lost some momentum as they just started to get down into turn number 1. They decided pretty quick, yeah, let's go ahead and bail out of it. But they're going to try it again here. Jason Maines, he wants to get himself some extra TV time as he'll jump 4 wide on the entry to the tri-oval, and they're going to have some more help. Watch for this third line of Matthew Baker and Kevin McCall Jr. to stall. But we are now 4 wide going into turn 1 at Talladega.
Yeah, 2 rows deep of 4 wide. And you're right, the third line stalls, but not for long. Here comes John Ward behind his former teammate, Kenny McCullough. Here goes Alex Hill to aid his teammate, Matthew Baker. Nagels may look out there as well. This is wild. They're not going to make it. Trouble around goes Nagels, Mullahan, Freeze, Eberhard, a lot more sliding down the back straightaway.
Yeah, that's going to bring out the first caution here of the night. 10 laps in. Looks like it's going to collect about 5 of them. Ooh, Dylan Jones almost got in to John Mullahan right there, but was able to miss him at the last second. And there's the 3 with the worst of it. 2 NBG guys and the 7 of John Mullahan, Baker. And it looks like, trying to figure out who it was with him. Cody is going to get it back going. And let's go back and take a look here. As again, SDK is being very, very weird tonight, so I apologize here. I'm very limited to what I can do, but it looks like it's going to cooperate enough to give us a replay. And taking a look at this replay here from the chopper view. Coming off of turn 2, 4 wide. We talked about it, Dawson. You can't make any mistakes. And right as Cody jumps up, looks like Baker just maybe slightly comes down. Let's see here. You see Kevin's in the middle. I mean, yeah, I think it's hard to say. I mean, it doesn't actually really look like so much of one coming up or one coming down. I mean, there's just not really much room. And they both kind of get together. Take one more different view here. Trying to see if we can get an angle where we see if one guy comes down. So you see Kevin Freeze has the right tires about halfway split. It's close. I think if anything, maybe they just make slight contact as tight as they were running. Freeze then gets down into John Mullahan. He gets up, and then the wreck's on from there. Cody Nagels, the first one to get turned around. And then Jason Maines, and it looks like, I think that was Daniel Eberhard, were able to escape for the most part unscathed. But then Cody and Baker making significant contact down by the inside wall. That's really going to hurt those 2 cars.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. They were 4 wide, several rows deep, and it kind of begs the question, was this time for 4 wide? I mean, I know these guys love to be aggressive, and certainly, Jason and Eberhard and those other cars that went 4 wide, they had a window, but was it the right time 11 laps in to be running 4 wide? And I know these guys are a little bit more stable tonight. You can tell they have a little bit more control of the cars. They're able to make more moves, but man, it's so tough to see that early in the race, because you think it probably could have been avoided if they had just kind of stayed 3 wide and rode for a little bit longer.
Yeah, but we know when it comes to money racing, it is always going to be the most aggressive of the aggressive in terms of a talent level. And these guys, none of them want to have to sit anywhere but the lead for more than a couple laps in this race. And just a little bit of impatience there, as you noted, and causes a wreck early. Back up front, though, it is Garrett Maines with the lead 12 laps in. And when we get the green here, it's going to be probably about 7 or 6 laps to go in the rest of stage 1. Jeff Merck currently sits in 2nd, John Darnell in 3rd. Brock Westmoreland back in 4th, Ken McCall Jr. in 5th. Christopher McCall 6th, John Ward in 7th. He is up 17 from where he started, by the way. And, of course, is one of the newer teams, team owner, in fact, for Hyper Motorsports. And just behind John is going to be Devin Ray, Tony Cox in 9th. And Jared Mogard, good to see him back in the field tonight. Remember, he got that podium last week, Dawson, and he said, he was committed for the full season. Doesn't love super speedways, but he said, we're going to come out here and see what we can do. Impressed last week, and so far he's impressing this week as he continues to run inside the top 10 in that 00 car.
Well, a few guys impressing. Obviously, yeah, Jared Mogard getting the podium last week, driving through the wreck, almost won that race. I still can't believe he did not win that race, but regardless, he's back. He's got a good finish last week, a great start to the season, and now he's in a pretty good spot for the end of this stage. So, yeah, watch him for sure. Aiden Kirk just outside the top 10. And the guy we talked about earlier, how about John Darnell inside the top 5 for the first time tonight? That's a great run for a guy who is in another gear tonight. He's motivated, and he's showing it early, running in 3rd.
Yeah, let's pause on John here for a moment, because one of the things I want to bring up that, I almost say to a degree, it's a little bit of a perk when you're not on a team is that you don't feel as restricted. You don't have to worry about any team orders or trying to help certain guys. You're a free roamer. Whoever you want to go with, whoever you want to try to help, that's who you choose. And, man, sometimes that can pay big dividends at the end of the race when it's more about going to the front than it is trying to assist another teammate or trying to wait and get help from another teammates. And, man, John currently sitting in third. He really could help himself here by getting some stage points and then trying to go for a win. We'll keep an eye on that 99 machine through the rest of this race. Back up front we go. Garrett Maines, let's see if they get to one to go this time. Looks like the lights are going to turn off, so sure enough, we are going to get right back to green flag racing here pretty soon. And Michael Triscaro, by the way, who currently sits a little bit further back, that caution helped him move up in the field a little bit. He's currently in 13th. He is our final driver carrying an onboard camera for us here tonight. And looking at, well, actually, I guess I was going to say, for anybody that's just tuning in, as always, we appreciate you being here. And again, apologies for broadcast in terms of the overlay side. May look a little bit sloppy here tonight. SDK not cooperating too well. The best I was able to get it to do for me is a tower. But nonetheless, Dawson's here, so we still got a pretty good broadcast going. And Garrett Maines, when he gets the lead right here, do you think he's going to try to slide up off of 2 Dawson, or do you think he settles in behind Darnell?
I think he goes up. I think the middle line is the place to be. You want to control the race, the flow of the race. You want to dictate where the moves come from. I think the best place to do that's in the middle. And we know Garrett loves to block that run up the middle. We saw him do it a lot last week, so I would expect him to go up to the middle right here.
And I was going to say maybe a little too much last week. We heard Baker during his interview a couple times say didn't really appreciate the amount of blocks that Garrett was throwing. I think that's just the competitive side of both of those two going at it right there. But this would almost be good news for John Darnell if Garrett decides to hop up, because that would put one of the veteran and best pushers in the series, Ken McCall Jr., behind that 99 car. And, that would send them right to the front. And there is his former teammate, John Ward, currently sitting behind him. But as we go back further in the field, guys who we'll see if they're ready to start making their way up through the field. Well, Kevin Freeze, of course, and Jason Maines trapped in the back after that caution. We're going to see them up here at some point. And, you can never count out Nash Brambilla or Matthew Baker. A lot of big hitters in the back, and that is going to shuffle some things up, to say the least. Andrew Navarro in the 44. I haven't seen him at the front yet either tonight, but I think that's going to change here in a pretty quick hurry. Pace car is going to make the hard left turn. It's going to be, looks like 7 laps to go when we cross the line left in stage 1.
And the field in the hands of Garrett Maines, the Coke Series driver, with Jeff Merck flanking him to his outside. Outside line very separated right here. Westmoreland trying to time up the restart, and they really don't go. Westmoreland was not too. Jeff Merck, we're wrecking further back. Aiden Kirk is around already, and we're going to bring a caution right back out as he gets stacked up on that restart.
Yeah, the 8 car, the only one to go around in that wreck. Looks like he does have a little damage to the left front. Ooh, the 44 actually as well of Andrew Navarro. Must have spun a little bit further. Oh, wow, we got more than that. Matthew Baker's in this one as well. And so is that Mike Davenport? Yeah, sure enough, the 55. And so this is actually going to collect 3 of them. Let's go back and take a look. This is on the restart. And what happens here? And, yeah, you see the 8 get turned up and gets turned around. In fact, I was trying to, let's back that up a little more. So he just, behind him there is, oh no, he was on the inside. For some reason it looked like the outside. So that's Michael Triscaro behind him. And if we look at this, let's take a look from the chopper view, actually. I think that's where we're going to get the best angle of it. And watch this here. So on the restart, everybody's going to start getting the gas out. Oh, it's the 72. I believe that might be, is that Tony Cox? I think it is. Yeah, sure enough. Currently running in 10th. That was Tony Cox. So doesn't get a good restart. Causes that stack up for the 8. The 8 starts to go up, trying to maybe avoid it the best he can. And then, of course, Sean Hill there, and he gets into the 7 car. That turns him up the track. And then behind, everybody trying to miss it. Looks like Navarro got turned by Eberhardt. He goes down the track. Davenport trying to misses it. Turns Baker in the process. But it certainly didn't look like anybody really received any major damage from that wreck, Dawson. Just kind of one of those, almost like we're playing bumper cars out here.
Well, it's one of those deals where for Aiden Kirk, it might look like he, turned across Alex's bumper right there, but I mean, there's not much he can do. If he doesn't go and stays in line, he probably gets run over right there, and the same result. I mean, he probably gets turned to the inside by the guy behind him. The 72 didn't go, and that's just one of those deals where you either have to try to jump out of line, make something happen, and hope Alex gets the memo and jumps out further, and you guys can make it work. But in that case, it doesn't, and we stack them up right after the restart.
Yeah, whenever you see a checkup like that, I would say probably about 90% of the time, somebody ends up getting the bad end of the stick. As for Aiden Kirk, that's exactly the position he had to unfortunately fill right there. So now this is going to put us at probably, we'll see, I don't think we're going to get the one to go this time. And yeah, sure enough, we're not. So this will put us at somewhere around 2 to 3 laps to go in the stage once the green flag does fly. And it looked like we actually had quite a few more guys maybe top off than I initially would have expected. But right now, up front, it is Garrett Maines, Jeff Merck still to his outside. John Darnell still sitting in third. And it's going to be the 4 of Brock Westmoreland on the outside in fourth. Ken McCall Jr. fifth, Christopher McCall in sixth. John Ward back in seventh with Devin Ray eighth. Jared Mogard ninth. And there's Tony Cox. Good to see him back to the series. We actually have not seen Tony for a little while. And saw him back in here tonight. The Pepsi car was the first thing that caught my eyes. We, of course, didn't get to go through the starting grid. And Tony's having a good run. A little bit of a mistake on that restart, but he'll figure it out. And he had a lot of bad luck the last couple times we saw him. Took a pretty big break. But, man, you're hoping that something can go his way, and maybe he could get his first win here tonight.
Yeah, obviously it would be a great night for him if he can get the job done back there from that 10th position. And I'm not really, it was a mistake maybe, but I think the stack up actually started a little bit further up, closer to John Darnell. I think somebody on the bottom didn't really get going, and I think it just stacked up the line. I don't know how much that is on the 72, but regardless, having a good run. And Eberhardt taking a very late lucky dog lap right there. Sorry, that caught my eye as I was talking about the 72.
Yeah, and there goes the 90 round, and actually it's currently scoring him as the leader. So I don't think he was necessarily supposed to be getting lucky dogs. Yeah, you see him now. He's going to roll to pretty much a stop. And actually, yeah, he is going to stop. Maybe he had to go hit the bathroom or something real quick. I've seen this one before. So I think the field will go by, and he'll catch up before we go back green. And there's the 22 of Devin Ray. Jared Mogard just behind him. And the further back you go in the field, you can never forget about David Sheets. Mark Vondell as well. One of the series winner, got a win last season here. He is having a pretty good run, currently inside the top 15. Logan York. But Nagels, McCall, Brambilla, Freeze, Baker, all these guys that, again, we've seen at the front for quite a bit of this race so far. They're in the back now from either one of, if not both of the incidents involving this caution and how it affected them. And so they're going to have to try to fight to get back up here. But now it becomes that question, Dawson, of if you are far in the back, do you maybe just stay there, pit, and get the track position for that final sprint to the finish, the 40 laps, or do you try to maybe get to the front and still snag some stage points?
I mean, it depends on if you burned your fast repair, I think. I think that's the biggest thing to me. It's always my question anyway when I'm in this situation. And if you're a guy like Cody Nagels, who I can't, say for sure if he used it, but, it looked like he had significant damage on that first wreck. Maybe you hang right where you're at. Don't go anywhere. Don't wreck your car. Don't end your night just to try to get a few extra points. And I think that's obviously going to be the goal for guys, 15th, 16th on back. It's just ride, let this stage in, and focus forward on the end of the race.
I think one of the most frustrating things for guys at super speedways is races where you feel like you're trying to play everything either safe or try to play it all smart, and you still get the bad end of the stick no matter which way you try it. And we know that you can get caught up in a wreck anywhere. I mean, that was a restart wreck, and Matthew Baker, who was just in that last wreck, got caught up in that one as well, so it's going to keep him at the back of the field. But Jeff Merck, Don Merck in the chat, says throwing some positive vibes Merck's way, and I was going to say he's probably going to need them. Another guy that has had a ton of bad luck, but he's looking to change it all around here tonight. Still looking to end the dry streak with a win, and that goes across pretty much all Money Racing Series. And he could be the one to get it done tonight for NBG. We'll have to see how things pan out. McCall Motorsports, they got 3 guys up there in the top 10, it looks like, and they're all pretty close together. Ken McCall Jr. has Christopher McCall to his outside, and Chris has Devin Ray just behind him. I look to see those two maybe think about 3 wide here within probably about a lap or two of the stage ending, which is going to be just a lap after we go green right here. And behind them, John Ward, he'll sneak up to the back bumper of John Darnell if Ken finds a way up. And I think we're going to be back to 3. Who knows, maybe even 4 wide by the time we finish this stage off.
Oh, I mean, it would be, just going back to what we had earlier with Jason Maines and Kenny McCullough, a couple other guys that decided to test the 4th lane, and it worked. I mean, for all intents and purposes, besides a little bump in the middle of the corner, it worked. We saw these guys do it, and we're going to find out pretty quickly. 3 laps to go. Stage number 1. Here we go. Green flag back in the air. Maines gets going. Darnell does not behind him. He's going to allow the top line to pull alongside, but does Garrett block it? He was too late. Here comes Merck, Westmoreland, Chris McCullough, and others to his outside.
Yeah, Merck just had way too big of a run there for Garrett to do anything. Ooh, looked like we had one shoot off out back. Couldn't tell if that was actually the case. It might have been Kirk. think it was. Nonetheless, he was able to keep it together. So as we go back up front, John Darnell still not able to get to the back bumper yet of that one car. Now he's going to down the back straightaway. The 03, though, of Ken McCall Jr. A little bit of a stack up on the bottom. That's going to allow the third lane to get formed with the 00 of Jared Mogard leading it. He's looking now for a push from the 72 of Tony Cox. He has Michael Triscaro and Cody Nagels behind him. A lot of movement going on right now for that 4 car as he tries to push Jeff Merck out ahead. And I think you're right, Dawson. If Garrett somehow is able to get back clear here in the middle, he's going to take it. But now they're going to split 3 wide as Christopher McCall is going to go to the top, and he's going to pull a teammate and Devin Ray with him.
They pull Alex Hill, Josh McCullough, David Sheets with him. Darnell gets hooked out of line. 4 wide for a moment. He's going to have to go to the apron and hold it there. It's going to allow Chris McCullough to take the lead. Devin Ray goes with him. Merck all the way to the bottom, trying to look for some help from Garrett Maines. Allows Alex Hill to get to the middle. A lot of shuffling up front. And all of a sudden, a whole different cast of characters here at the front with 2 to go in stage 1.
Man, I don't know how Darnell was able to hang on to that, but he did a smart thing there by just backing off, and he might want to stay pretty far back because I think there is more chaos upon the horizon here as McCall Motorsports going to be a little bit late on the block, at least Devin Ray is, but Christopher McCall, he's going to jump right down in front of the 7 of Sean Hill. Those 2 are ex-teammates. Sean Hill, though, now going to jump up in front of Devin Ray, who chooses not to split him. Now he is going to, and man, they're 3 wide, but they do not look very organized. Got a group of guys, it looks like, coming down to the pits. They're led in by Nashburn and Billet, but we're coming to the white flag in the stage. Can McCall Motorsports finish it up? 1-2. Going through turn 1 and 2 for the final time here in the stage. Garrett Maines is going to get a run with his teammate. Here goes Jason and Garrett now to the top, looking for a side draft off the 92 of John Ward, who is pushing that 22 car. And Matthew Baker somehow made his way back up here. He is now 3rd in the middle as it looks like the 02 of Logan York. He dips out of line. I think he's going to bail out of this. Doesn't like what he sees. And on the bottom, they're going to fade a little bit here. The middle looks to be the most stacked up. They're going to have the biggest run. What can Devin Ray do here as he draws even with his teammate off at turn number 4? Final time down the short chute into the tri-oval. Wrap up the stage, coming to the line. It's going to be a 3 wide finish here if they can keep it together. They're going to not. Devin Ray hard into the wall. It's going to be Christopher McCall that wins it at the line, but chaos after for it looks like 2 of the McCall Motorsports drivers. You saw Joshua McCall go around as well. And as we try to go back to it here, man, oh man, that is a tough break right there. And I was looking to see, Dawson, do we still have you?
Yeah, I think you do. Something's going on with my microphone right there. I was trying to call the whole way down the backstretch and wasn't getting anything, but I think you covered it pretty well. And, oh, man, Devin Ray, Garrett Maines coming together there in the trial. It looked like right net code to me. I don't know about you, but, oh, man, it's a tough break if that's the case.
That's what I was just getting ready to take a look at here. And if we go all the way back here to Devin Ray in the 22, man, you hate to see it when a guy goes from in a position to accumulate really good stage points and finish it with a clean car to a destroyed car and probably no stage points here. So going back to the chopper cam, and we'll see here if it's some netcode or if there's a little bit of contact. See Devin's on the bottom, Garrett up top, Jason pushing Garrett. It was only those 2 trying everything to make it work. And Devin's just creeping up a little bit. That's from the push. But yeah, nope, completely agree, Dawson. No contact between the 2, just a little bit of netcode. And that sends Devin Ray hard into the outside wall. You see Jason Maines try to miss it, so he has to go low. Gets into Baker, but I think they're okay. And then Joshua McCall piles in as he had nowhere to go. And that's going to send both of those cars spinning towards the inside wall. That's probably going to be a fast repair. Probably be a fast repair, rather, for Devin Ray. But, man, did you see how close that was for Ken McCall Jr.? He somehow managed to avoid it. Wow. As we actually try to back this up, take one more look at it here. And yeah, you see he's going to go low and then sees Devin at the last second. Oh my goodness. You know, as a driver, Dawson, we know you feel like that you've missed it. And then all of a sudden you see a car way after you feel like the wreck's even still going on. And I cannot believe that he was able to miss that as quick as it happened. But he was able to get on the brakes in time, turn it a little bit to the right, and probably saves himself some hefty damage.
Yeah, he was going pretty quick when he got to his teammate there going into 1. That would have been considerable damage for the 0-3. So note that for later if he does end up getting a pretty decent finish in this race, or if he ends up having to use his fast repair later in the race.
And 23 laps now going to be completed here. Again, stage 1 wrapped up at the end of lap 20. And now everybody that came down to take fuel under this caution, they should be good to go the rest of the way, at least if we finish this thing in regulation. Now, if we go into overtimes, it's going to be a little bit of a different story. And I'll tell you what, I was considering here if we should take a break. But I'm thinking maybe that's not the best idea because I cannot get the tower to go anywhere. So we're going to keep things right here for now. But as we do so, we're just going to let you listen to the sights and sounds here of Talladega for just a moment. We will be right back for the green flag.
All right, back here from Talladega, getting ready to go back under the green flag. Bunch of guys staying out under the caution. How about this call? A little bit halfway through the race. This is really interesting. Dylan Jones, Andrew Navarro, John Mullahan, Alex Hill, Nash Brambilla, Mike Davenport, and Michael Triscaro gambling a little bit, getting some track position, flipping the stage, and trying to get out front. That was some of the guys we saw pit with about 2 laps to go in the stage. So look for them to maybe get some track position working here as we get ready to go back green. But that's quite a call by them. Bailed on stage points, but they're going to be in the catbird seat here for the restart.
All right, well, I got some good news, I guess, there during the break. We updated SDK, and it looks like it's working a little bit better. Still some minor issues, but now not only do we have a tower, but we got the little ghost back up there in the top right, so that's always nice to see. And going to get some more info on the driver cards here as well. There's Andrew Navarro going to be starting off in that second position. This is the highest he's been so far here tonight. He's up 18 from where he started. Same deal for Dylan Jones as he's up 22 from where he started. As the pace car makes the hard left turn, it's going to be, looks like a 35 lap to go restart. And actually make it 36. Everybody should be good to go on fuel. So now any aggression that we saw earlier, might as well double that. 3-4 wide. They're going to be doing a lot more of it here, because we are all good to go on fuel. Cautions is only going to give you track position from here on out. Green flag is back in the air. 36 laps to go at Talladega, and it's a good jump for both of the guys in the first line. You see Dylan Jones trying to get up to speed, and they looked a little interesting on that restart. And I bring that up because that reminded me, Dawson, they're actually on a new setup here tonight from what we saw last week, and that might explain why these guys have been handling better, as we are going to see Daniel Eberhardt jump up to the third lane. Did not take long for them to try to get the momentum going. Garrett not liking what he sees. He's actually going to swap to the middle here. He'll pull up behind Mike Davenport, but it's Eberhardt and Ward leading that third lane here on lap 1.
Yeah, they are on a new setup tonight, and it is supposed to be more stable, at least from what I've heard from the drivers when I got to talk to them this week. While they were testing that, apparently it went really well, and you can obviously tell it went really well because the way they're racing, this is a lot more aggressive than what we saw last week. They're able to do a lot more. I feel like they're not restricted by the car as much this week as they were last week, and that's shown by the fact that we were 4 wide for 3 laps deep in the race. So let's see if they can keep it going. Navarro for the first time out front, but not for long. Here goes Alex Hill across Daniel Eberhardt. Third line rolling big. And Navarro still has no help. Moved to 7 to the lead in 1.
A lot of lead changes, but another thing I was going to mention, and kind of what you were just saying about with this new setup here this week, is I feel like we haven't seen a lot of guys really getting hot to the point where they've had to completely back off, and a line has just lost all their momentum. They've been able to hang pretty even while still changing positions for the lead quite a bit. And of course, last week we saw that really weird incident with the 7 of Alex Hill when he dipped down to the bottom below his teammate Cody Nagels, and the car blew up. And just as I say that, boy, that was a close call there for John Ward. I'm not sure if he was hot or if it was just timing, but Eberhardt quickly darted low, and the 92 darted into clean air as quick as possible. And now that third lane is going to have to tuck back down into the second. Ken McCall Jr., though, is going to stay up there with his teammate, Christopher McCall. And, oh, man, John Ward slammed the door on the 03. That was really, really close. Don't know if there was enough room there, but he certainly made some. And it's the 90 of Daniel Eberhardt still leading the top. Now he's going to drop down to the bottom and pull Dylan Jones up to his back bumper. Sean Hill going to be looking for the lead. Andrew Navarro, this is going to be another really big run. And, I mean, look at the push that he was able to give him right there through the center of the corner. We just did not see that last week.
Yeah, I wondered last week if it was more a car issue, but now that I'm seeing how these guys are pushing, how long they're able to push, I think it was a setup issue. I think we just had a bad setup, and now that we've got a new one on, you can tell, I mean, they're able to push a lot harder than we have been in the past, and that's a great sign for some great racing. It's been awesome racing up front. I think it's a product of they're able to actually control the cars better this week and able to pull off a lot of the moves we're used to seeing with them in other cars.
And I just realized there that we had the desktop audio a little too high, but nonetheless, we got it situated now. Should be able to hear us a little bit better. And we are just about halfway. 28 laps completed. 33 to go. The 44 of Andrew Navarro still leading the outside. Let's go back a little bit towards the back of this field. And right now, it's Joshua McCall all by himself. And, man, the front end of that 05 is destroyed. I'm not sure if that was from the last incident coming to the line in the stage. But wherever he got this damage, it's big time, and it's hurting that 05. He is going to be in danger of losing the lead lap here pretty soon. As
trouble up front, Logan York and Matthew Baker into the outside wall in 3 and 4. It's not going to bring out a yellow, but those cars are extremely slow now, losing the draft behind the field.
And looking for him here, there's Matthew Baker, and you can see, looking for where all the damage is from. And there you see some on the left side. Do wait for him to come around to see the other side. And Logan York, yeah, the back end is torn up, and his suspension's all out of whack as well. So that is going to be a really, really rough break right there. Let's see if we can back this up a little bit and take a look exactly what happens here to these two. We had just been talking about Joshua McCall losing the leaders, and it's going to be these two, the next two victims. Baker may have been able to stay in the draft. All right, so here you go. Logan York, I think he was maybe thinking about taking it 3 wide. This is on the backstretch, getting ready to come into turn 3. He ducks out. Baker goes to go with them, and then, looks like Baker went a lane higher. And then what happens there, Dawson? I couldn't tell. Could you?
Not really. I wasn't really looking back there. It looked like they just came together going for the same piece of real estate to me, running 3 wide a little further back in the pack, but it kind of just got, bounced up into the outside wall. It's one of those weird incidents we've seen with the right rear issues, and that's a really tough break for both cars. I think they've both lost the draft. Let me double check before I say that. Yep. Baker's on pit road, and York is way off the draft.
Yeah, I agree. It didn't really look like anybody did anything super egregious there. It was interesting that Baker jumped out, but it didn't look like either one of them really came down or up. They just kind of came together. Yeah, Baker maybe came down just a little, and then York might have came up just a bit. But definitely nothing obvious, which has been the case for most of the incidents we've seen here tonight. As Navarro jumps back up to the top line, trying to get back around that 7 car. And you see he is really, really working the lanes here now, as he is going to get a big push from Garrett Maines. That'll surge him back ahead. He'll drop down just in front of Alex Hill, and here comes that third lane again, being led by 2 of the McCall Motorsports guys, and Jeff Merck. He's trying to see if he can't get his way to the front here.
I was just watching that line get ready to call them out there for a second as they came from about 10 or 12 spots back, and they are even with the lead. What a great run to the front. The McCullough drivers, Jeff Merck, Michael Triscaro actually found his way to that line as well, made an aggressive move in front of David Sheets, and Kenny's going to go all the way to the lead. He may go all the way to the bottom. Great move by the McCullough boys up front. Kenny McCullough now leads in turn number 3.
Yeah, that was a very, very smart move, too. His teammate needed some clean air, and it gives Ken a little bit of a probably more, I don't know, I guess you would say a comforting mindset in the sense of if you're on the bottom, you always feel a little bit safer in terms of missing the wrecks. But, man, the middle has just been rolling so well here tonight. You figured when you see the middle roll pretty good that the top would roll even better. I don't know if that's so much been the case. We have seen a couple surges of momentum from the top. The one that we saw there that, of course, got Ken McCall Jr. to the lead. But since he left, they just died out so quick. It faded to 2 cars, Christopher McCall and Michael Triscaro, and without at least 3 or 4 guys, you just can't make it work as Navarro got sent to the inside of the back straightaway. He's able to save it, but now he's going to have to come back up. The question is who's going to be nice enough to let him in here and running out of real estate to get up, and, man, nobody let him up there. Thought maybe a little bit of etiquette. Somebody would have let the man back up. He's finally able to get up now, but could be in danger here of potentially losing the draft. I think he's going to be okay, and he'll have to settle in behind John Darnell and Tony Cox.
Yeah, he'll be able to keep the draft back there behind John Darnell. Lucky moment for him. That was what a tough break. Nobody gave him the time of day on the bottom line. They just kept him on the apron. I thought for a second he was going to spin the car out because usually when you run down there on the flat going that fast, either drifts back up on the racetrack or you hit that where that little transition is between the flat and a little bit of banking there just below the yellow line, and you end up spinning out. Obviously Navarro very good at keeping the car controlled, being able to get right back up and keeping the draft of Darnell.
So on the outside, you got 4 really, really strong cars in Garrett Maines, Kevin Freeze, Daniel Everhart, and now Jeff Merck, but he's going to jump to the outside. And on the inside, you got 4 more really strong cars, and it looks like Ken McCall Jr. still leading. Just behind him, though, Alex Hill, John Ward, and John Mullahan, one of Ken's teammates. And that third lane's going to get right back down to business here as Everhart moves up to the top. Christopher McCall now pushing on the outside line, and he's going to get help from David Sheets. Where did Sheets come from? He's looking to make his name known here late.
Yeah, he followed his teammates to the front, his McCall Motorsports teammates, and all of a sudden there's several of those cars lurking here just behind the race leaders. So, count them into this as well. And Dylan Jones, he's back towards the front now. Same with John Mullahan, Nash Brambilla, Jared Mogart also lurking as well. A lot of guys coming into this picture really late on here, past halfway, but it's all Kenny McCullough up front. He has been very, very dominant these last few laps.
And in all fairness to David Sheets, we knew we'd see him up here at some point. He's such a good pusher, and now he finds himself third on the outside as they're going to be coming up on a lap car here. And that's going to be the 5 of Matthew Baker. We'll see if he's able to find his way in line and join his teammates as they're going to have to split him 4 wide. David Sheets steps out of line just for a moment. Is able to quickly duck back down. Christopher McCall trying everything to push that 90 clear. Hasn't been able to do so. But you saw Ken McCall Jr. almost get clear of the one at Garrett Maines. Thought maybe he would jump up if he did. But he's going to have to stay tucked to the bottom for now. And, bringing up another point about what we're seeing here tonight with this newer setup, Baker, I feel like the guys racing them look like they're having a lot more fun with just we've seen so many more lead passes. Ken McCall Jr. is going to get turned. He saves it as a bumper goes flying off the 92 of John Ward. He will also go to the back. And just as I was talking about all the lead changes, we're going to have another one, but not so much a pass as the 03 getting spun in the wrong direction. What a save.
Yeah, that I thought for sure he was destined either for the inside wall or to come right back up into the field, and somehow Kenny gets that car going the right direction. I have no idea. He was pointed 90 degrees left at one point in the middle of the corner, and that's split the field up big time. This is a huge shuffle here at the front.
And there you go. Just Alex Hill not trying to turn him around, just trying to push him to keep him in front, and you see, he gets him a little offset here, pushes Ken up, and then once he taps him again a little bit to the left, just sends him around. I mean, both able to save it, though, no harm, no foul, but Ken, of course, losing all that track position, and then not exactly sure why the back bumper of John Ward blew off. But we've seen that a couple times, a little bit of an interesting damage model, and we'll see just how bad that hurts Ward's car. That could give him big damage. It actually looks like it's back on now. And, man, what an odd sight, but we're still 3 wide up front, and now back to the lead. How about first time in the lead here tonight for John Mullahan in the 7? He's got Jeff Merck behind him. Daniel Everhart and Garrett Maines still leading in that middle. And one of those two has been in one of these front 3 rows for the entirety of the race so far. And Michael Triscaro fourth in the middle. He's trying to see if he can get up here and maybe jump to the outside line.
Yeah, teammates starting to find each other as well now that we get the chance to look at this field. There you go, Maines and Freeze. Oh, boy, the Maines boys have hung out Daniel Eberhard. Wow, they're all hanging out Daniel Eberhard. Triscaro drops down. Now Navarro comes to his aid, but, man, Eberhard loses 4, 5, 6 spots in the middle line. He's going to be shuffled all the way back to third and buried in the middle of the pack. Wow, that was a tough break as 3 guys all jumped out of line at the same time. Maines, though, goes back to lead, allows Chris McCullough right back into this as well in the high line.
Well, from what we supposedly know, Daniel doesn't have any teammates, which is surprising when you look at just how talented he is. But still, even though he does it by himself, he always finds a way to get himself in one of the money positions, which, by the way, tonight is going to be top 4. Should be about the same payouts as last week. I know it was based off 25, and we had 27. So they'll actually be up a little bit higher, and over $150, I think it is, will be going to that championship fund at the end of the season. But I think everybody has their eye on the fact of get a win here tonight and be able to just try to cash for the rest of the season. And right now, how about Michael Triscaro? Each lap, I feel like, Dawson, we keep getting a new name up here to the front. We've seen Triscaro at the front in these races, but not yet tonight. And here he is with 23 laps to go.
Yeah, good to see the boss man of PGR running up front tonight. A strong run for the 34. I know he's another guy that really likes this car, loves the way it drives. He's very good in them. We've seen him run well a couple of times now that we've seen this car, and he looks very comfortable here up at the front for the first time tonight. He's got a pretty good pusher behind him in John Mullihan, and they're hanging around as that bottom line is they're aiming to fight a really good middle line. Maines, Freeze, Eberhard, Navarro. That's a tough group to beat there in the middle, but bottom line hanging around. Triscaro's going to get a little lap lead here with 22 laps to go.
Triscaro is trying to hold as steady of a wheel as possible. John Mullihan is a very, very aggressive pusher. And if you're good at holding a straight line, that'll benefit you in the long run. But if you get even a little bit wobbly, it can certainly turn into a pretty big disaster pretty quick. 22 laps to go now as they're going to be coming up on, looks like 2 lappers here. Can't tell who the second one is, but looks like one of them is going to be Aiden Kirk, who unfortunately got spun around in that earlier incident. And now does Christopher McCall get clear? He doesn't, and you can see that's in big part why Garrett Maines and Kevin Freeze chose not to jump to the bottom, even though they were clear there. They don't want that 94 to be able to clear them, so as they stay up, get a little bit of a side draft off Christopher McCall. It's going to keep him at bay and try to hold that outside line from gaining any more momentum. It's going to be the 05 of Joshua McCall, the other lap car that they're getting ready to go around. Those two are going to respectfully drop to the apron, let all these guys go by as it's now 21 laps to go at Talladega. But I don't know if we're going to make it the rest of the way without a caution at this point, Dawson.
Well, Davenport just got the wall. I thought that was going to be our yellow back there around the 55. He gathers it up, keeps on going straight right in front of John Ward. And I don't know, 3 wide. The tires are getting older the longer we go. These guys really haven't had a chance to take tires at all tonight. And the wear in these cars, even with a stable setup, it gets to you after a little while. So expect that to be an issue. Obviously, we've now seen temps become an issue too. John Mullihan had to drop way off the 34. So with these guys not really able to move, Maines, McCullough, and Triscaro, they've been kind of stuck. Temps are going to become an issue as well. Less space to go, more aggressive moves the later we get. I'm with you. I don't think we make it all the way.
Yeah, it definitely looks like it's kind of turned into more of a gridlock formation here. But the 94, the 11, and Nashville as well, the 23, they continue to fight on that third lane. And they've gotten so close so many times, they just can't quite get clear. And I think it's at the point that if Chris gets clear again, even if it's just by a couple centimeters, he is probably going to try to slam the door on that one car of Garrett Maines, see if he can't work his way at least to the middle, maybe to the bottom. And right now on the bottom, Michael Triscaro continues to lead it. Garrett Maines has not laid off the front bumper. Excuse me, Kevin Freeze has not laid off the back bumper of Garrett Maines here in the last about 5 laps or so. And he is probably the best pusher out here in the sense of we always see him finding himself in the positions where he's in a spot to push his teammates over, lead them. And man, oh man, for him to be able to keep Garrett out by about a car length out front without anybody being able to get by this long is so impressive, especially with temps got to be heating up.
Oh, it's a comfortable position, and you're right. Kevin's probably the best pusher in the field, and he obviously has Garrett where he can communicate with him as well. I think that's a huge advantage, but not for long. Chris McCullough finally gets clear of the middle line. Dylan Jones is definitely thanking him. I think that was, it is Dylan Jones. I had to look up at my scoring, and he's definitely thanking the 94 for getting down, because I would imagine he was probably getting a little hot right there as well.
Yeah, that looked like one of those moves where Chris was more glued to his mirror than he was the windshield. And the second he saw any sort of gap between the back of his bumper and the front of Garrett Maines' bumper, he immediately swerved left to take it, and it works out well. And now he's got a little bit of a decision on his hands here. How well and how long can he try to control that one car of Garrett Maines and hold him at bay? You know, if Garrett gets cleared to jump up top, he's probably going to do so. See if he can get back in front. But Michael Triscaro has been able to hold even And now you see him start to make a little bit of a charge back up as we take 18 laps to go. But looking at the guys that are further back, Baker, Tony Coxon, while Baker's not on the lead lap, some of the other guys that are, such as Tony Coxon, they're going to have to start making some moves if they want a chance at getting in the money. And I don't know what's developed here, but I'm seeing this now, Dawson. The second pack that is formed, these guys are really far back from the leaders. What do you make of this?
Looking back there myself, I know Cody Nagels had an issue where he had to catch up to Baker when that incident happened with Logan York. He was trying to keep him in the draft. He was not able to, and as a result, lost the draft himself as well. Not sure what happened to the other guys back here, though. Maines, Mondell, McCullough. Obviously, we know what happened to Logan York, but the other three, I'm not too sure. They just kind of fell off the draft. Obviously, Kenny, we saw have that issue, but Jason Maines, Mark Mondell, I didn't really see them have any issues. At least not on my end.
Yeah, I mean, it surprises me to see them have fallen, even if they were involved in an incident that far back this quick without any pit stops. And I'm not sure if, I mean, maybe you could always assume maybe they tried some sort of strategy of thinking we're going to get a late caution and maybe top it off, but I just don't think that's the case. Nonetheless, they are going to need a caution if they want any chance to get back up here, and they very well might get one here. Still going to be 16 laps to go when we get to the line. And they are still fanned out 3 wide. Haven't seen any more 4 wide since we saw it earlier. But as Navarro gets clear, he is going to jump right to the middle now in front of Garrett Means. Both of those guys do have their pro license. I think Garrett technically has one higher with a pro/world class. But I think that's why you're seeing some mutual respect. But just as I say that, Garrett throws it out the window. He says, I want the lead. And as he jumps up to the top, Jeff Merck's going to give him a really big push. And if he can get that one car clear, that'll give him clean air. And sure enough, there he goes. So now it's Jeff Merck with one of his teammates, Sean Hill. They're leading that third lane. And can Merck try to get his first win of the season here tonight?
And the cavalry's coming. Dylan Jones, Nash Brambilla, John Darnell, Mike Davenport. A few PGR drivers starting to make their way towards the front. And you got to think Mike Triscaro is really liking what he's seeing out in the outside line. He's got help coming as well. But Merck, he's got some considerable assistance behind him now. He's going to be even with the race leader in turn number 3. An inspired run to the front by Jeff Merck. And like you were saying, is this the night for him? He's run a great race. We'll see if he can get it done. But for now, fighting for the lead off turn number 4. Oh boy, I'll tell you what, I'm holding my breath the last couple laps as Alex tries to cool the engine off. Jeff Merck is not caught in the middle any brakes. He has been down nearly in their lane. Look at this side draft in the middle of turn 3. That is insane from Jeff Merck that they're able to keep it going. It looks like they're going to touch. And with all the right rear issues we've seen all night, man, what a risky decision, but it's working so far, keeping the third line even and fighting for the lead up front. Oh, he had to take it last second, and I imagine you have Alex in your ear yelling, I'm hot, I'm hot, I'm hot. Get out of line. I got to think that's what was going on there. Merck gets to second in the middle. This is a great spot for Merck. I think he's going to push Navarro out of line. Ends up forcing Eberhard out of line. Now the help in the middle dies, and Eberhard leads the top. And as soon as Alex was able to start cooling down, Eberhard jumps right back up in front of him. No rest for the 7 car here with 12 laps to go.
And just realizing that I was muted for at least the last transmission. Hopefully wasn't too many. We're going to Garrett Maines back into the field. He goes up over the roof of multiple cars. Caution is out with 12 to go. And this is going to be the big one. Jeff Merck gets involved. And looks like, as Baker's mom put it earlier, the Merck curse is going to continue as the 60 car is destroyed. Let's back it up and go take a look. Just as we came back for more technical difficulty, we see some technical difficulty of itself on track here. I think it's going to be some more right rear netcode. This is going to be my initial guess. Oh, no. That actually starts. The 44 gets hooked right here. It looks like from Jeff Merck. Let's take a chopper view. You know, we saw this last week with the sense of it seemed like even when guys were squaring up pushes, they were getting turned a lot. We haven't seen it much tonight. And yeah, Jeff, he was pretty square. I mean, he got slightly offset. It didn't look bad, but it was enough to turn that 44 down the track into Garrett. Garrett, of course, nothing he could do, so he slides right back up into traffic, takes a big hit. You see him get upside down just about as he goes over multiple cars and then freeze. Hill, the 4's in it. Brock Westmoreland. And you see everybody just trying to scatter to miss it all. And, man, the 77, he got banged up pretty good. David Sheets slides in. So does John Darnell. Jared Mogard late. I think it'd be easier, Dawson, for us to count who in the field this wreck didn't collect.
That's exactly what I was going to say. That's the big one if I've ever seen it. We're in turn 4 right now at the front of the field, and I see about 8 cars that are up with the field. In fact, I think it's less than that. It might be closer to 6, maybe 7 cars that made it out of this wreck. So, yeah, that's most of the field. And, oh, man, what a tough break. What a shuffle. But what an avoidance for several guys up front. Notably, and I don't know if you got to look at this, but Triscaro's the one that I saw dive onto the apron and just barely missed this incident. I thought for sure he was a goner. His mains came back down, but he missed it nonetheless, and he's going to be in the picture here late.
And as we ride on board with Triscaro here, yeah, he sees it, dives down. Wow, he did just miss it, too. It was not by much. And, you know, a quick little side note, though, you're looking at, like, a couple guys here in that case, Jeff Merck, and, I mean, Jeff Merck's the prime example. We know he's got a nice sim rig, and it's motion, too. So you see a wreck like this. I mean, I think of Garrett, I got to assume he's got some sort of motion rig. You got to wonder, that's got to kind of hurt, I feel like, to a degree as a driver. I mean, watch this hit for Garrett Maines. He goes up and over, I think, multiple rows of cars right here. Boom. Yeah, he gets up on top of, actually over Dylan Jones, then lands on top of Nash Brambilla before sliding to a stop. So hopefully most of these guys have a fast spare left in the bank, because if they don't, it could bring an end to their night. As the pace car has gotten the field all grouped back together, it is Christopher McCall being scored as the leader. And again, these guys probably not going to pit now as long as they can make it at least to the end of regulation, as you never know if we're going to have overtimes or not. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. It's kind of a 50-50 shot. Mike Davenport back in 3rd, Cody Nagels in 4th. Ken McCall Jr. rounding at your top 5. It's Navarro in 6th, Daniel Eberhardt 7th, Dylan Jones in 8th, Sean Hill in 9th, and Jared Mogard still up here even after being involved in that wreck. He's rounding out your top 10.
Yeah, I mean, what a great comeback for Mogard, obviously, after being involved in the wreck. I could have sworn he bounced off Merck. Maybe he was able to survive the wreck enough that he could stay out on the racetrack. There's Merck. I think that's Merck. It's not. It's Tony Cox. I apologize. Their cars look the same, so, it is what it is. But some nice recoveries for several guys. That's the break that Cody and Kenny and those guys are running for the back. Jason Maines as well. That's the break they needed, running 25 seconds behind the field. I just noticed that they're right back up with the main pack here, and Cody's back in the top 5.
Well, that was really the break that Matthew Baker needed. I believe it does indeed put him back on the lead lap. So now he's going to have a chance to go see if he can make it back-to-back wins. When we go green, it should be, looks like 8 laps to go, assuming we get the one to go this time. So we are going to take a quick side-by-side break. We'll be back for the green flag. Stick with us. Back live at Talladega Superspeedway, getting ready to wrap up race 2 for season 3 of Tuesday Night Thunder. And I mean, looking at who we got up here, Dawson, I know it's maybe a dark horse here, but I'm going to put my pick in as Mike Davenport making it happen here, getting his first win tonight.
Well, it's a couple different things right here. Chris McCullough took the top. Now, that's a smart decision in the fact he's got Cody Nagels behind him. But he lines up the PGR teammates on the bottom. I don't know how smart an idea that was. Triscaro and Davenport are in the same stable here, so he may have just given them an advantage here just because of the fact he wanted Cody as a pusher.
Yeah, I was going to say, if that doesn't tell you just how important the top is, then I don't know what will. And here we go, back into the restart zone. Green flag is back in the air. Triscaro and McCall through the gears with 8 laps to go at Talladega. And you can see a lot of fishtailing. Nobody's going to take it 3 wide just yet. I think these guys will wait probably about half a lap or so to get up to speed. But looking for who's going to make that first 3-wide move here. It's probably going to either be Navarro or Eberhardt, but they're going to have to make sure that they get some help. Here we go. First guy's up. It's going to be Brock Westmoreland in the 4.
Yeah, I don't know if that was by choice. Jason Maines may got the back of him a couple of times there. I know he got into him once in the middle of 1 and 2. And yeah, Westmoreland's going the wrong way in a hurry, falling outside the top 10, falling outside the top 15 as he looks for some help and can't find it anywhere. Mondell at 3 wide, nothing doing for him either. Top 4 almost, top 3 are clear up front. The bottom line is dead in the water behind Triscaro.
Everybody jumping up to the top here, hopping on the bandwagon. And eventually somebody's going to have to jump to the bottom. Ooh, it's going to be Cody. They're going to actually make him the odd man out. And I think he thought Chris was going down and actually was trying to help him. And now Chris, maybe a little bit of that going to come back around as he's going to be the one that gets split in the middle. But he's going to get help from his teammate, Ken McCall Jr. He'll give him a push down into turn 1 as Cody's still on the bottom up top. The 44, the 11, and the 90. That's Eberhardt, Jones, and Navarro. And they're all going to jump down to control it. And just as quickly as the top line was rolling, it seems like maybe it has died out now.
Yeah, it's crazy. Shuffling up front, obviously Navarro, Jones, Eberhardt making the right move there. And Eberhardt stays up. McCullough goes down.
Oh, we got a wreck. 2 cars.
Oh, more. Now David Sheets. Oh, and more trouble here as Tony Cox is around, and we're wrecking in turn 3 as well.
Tony Cox, and it looks like John Ward, still no cautions. For the most part, they save it. I think Ward's got broken suspension as it dragged his car right down to the apron. And now the yellow flag's going to fly. I think this might have been an admin choice, and I think it's a good one because we had way too many incidents there for it to not fly as Davenport still stopped on the back straightaway. And yeah, there's pretty heavy front end damage to that car. I'm not sure why he's not rolling yet. I assume that thing's just not turning on. He's just sitting there turning the wheel. But let's go back and take a look. Just too much chaos for it to last. And man, well, I guess there goes my pick for who I had winning tonight. Let's take a look here. It's going to be 2 incidents that all create 1 caution. And we'll start first with one involving Mike Davenport. Here's a look from the chopper cam. You see Davenport on the bottom minding his P's and Q's here, it looks like. But you see, that's Triscaro and Nagels that actually drift up. And yeah, Davenport sees that, and he's going to follow it to follow the draft. And he goes up a little bit, seems fine. Then there's a big stack up. Mark Vondel was checking up for the back of Sean Hill, who, man, looked like there was a lot of speed scrubbed off right here for the 7, and boom, the checkup, the 22. Devin Ray gets into his teammate Mark. That sends 55 and the 59 down hard into the inside wall from Mike Davenport. I think Vondel sneaks away without too much damage. And then Ward and Sheets are going to get the back end of this one as David actually kind of got collected initially right here. The checkup is going to send the 6 into John Ward. Back that up, play a little bit slower for you. The checkup sends David Sheets into John Ward. They both go up into the outside wall, and then everybody trying to dodge it. And Tony Cox gets involved. Ashburn Miller with a wicked save. And that sends Tony back up into the outside wall. Got some damage on the sides and rear for that 72 machine. And then Ward on the bottom. Like I said, I think it broke his suspension. I think he's going to be in need of a fast repair, assuming he's got one here. And it looks like we got word here that Nash Brambilla maybe also wrecked. Let's see if this is coming around here. And Brambilla's bringing it down to the apron here. Is he just going to go, what's he doing here? Oh, he's going to give a push to Davenport. And those two are teammates, but still wondering what exactly happened. As, yeah, Brambilla is trying everything to get his attention right there. And there's just no sign of life right now. For Mike Davenport, we might need to send the safety trucks or something out there to go check on him. It looks like he's finally brought it to his box, but you can see the wheels actually still turned at the same angle it was on the backstretch. I'm wondering if maybe he had some sort of technical issue after the wreck. Either way, that's going to bring his night to an end as we go back up front, 5 laps to go, and guess who? It's still Christopher McCall leading, so whatever choice he decided to make with taking the top, seems like it worked out pretty well there, Dawson.
It did, yeah, but I think he's going to have his hands tied here. I don't think he's going to be able to do that again because now he's going to have his teammate that scored third on my scoring right now. Let's see if he's either third or fourth. That's going to make the decision for Chris, I would imagine. I don't think he goes away from his teammate right here, even if it does mean picking the top. I just think you go with the guy you can communicate with. You can get the best start that way. Much as you see a hand out the window, that's our equivalent of a hand out the window, is being able to communicate with the guy behind you. And I think you have to pick in front of your teammate, even though the top's been so good all night.
And looking at the chat here, again, appreciate everybody that's tuned in here tonight. Had some technical difficulties at the start with the overlays for a little while, got that sorted out, and then had some audio issues, but I think we finally got it all sorted out and just in time for the finish, so we appreciate everybody sticking with us and sticking through it. Looks like Baker's mom, Devin Ray, Lucky Howell, Don Merck, Shirley Cox, Julie Paul. Looking who else here, and it looks like, I believe, is that Steve Korsek? Dale told me to do it in here. It says Big Hickory, and I know you saw that commercial I put up for you there. Had a little bit of Dale Cup action during the break, and nonetheless, that's a good way to get you excited for what we're going to see here for the finish, as they will fan back out 3 and 4 wide. Looking here, Matthew Baker, remember, he was a lap down for quite a bit. He got it back under that first caution towards the latter portion of the race. He's back on the lead lap, and now he sits in 13th. Thinking he may end up needing one more caution that he's not involved in to have a chance at winning it. But we have seen Baker do crazier things. So we'll have to see if maybe he can go back-to-back here tonight as the lights on the pace car. See if they turn off this time. They sure enough will. So they're going to line up 2 by 2. McCall does take the bottom. Good call on that, Dawson. And that is going to put Ken McCall Jr., his teammate, behind him on the outside. Navarro and Eberhardt and Jones. I feel like those three have been working so good together tonight that it's going to be a tough battle for the 2 McCall teammates on the bottom.
Yeah, and as you look back, you start to find some teammates a little further back in the field as we look. Eberhardt actually has some damage. I don't know if it's going to affect him or not, but he does have some right rear damage now that they come around here and pass by the camera there in turns 1 and 2. Not sure if that's going to affect him. We'll have to see. Jason Maines is going to line up out there. Michael Triscaro, man, expect him to make a move right here. He's been aggressive all night. Alex Hill's not going to go quietly right here, but NBG's got 3 cars. The Maines boys have a few cars. Obviously have Eberhardt and Navarro up front. Sounds like they have been working together for the most part. You got the McCulloughs up front. It's a battle of teams, as we all probably expected here late in the going. Everyone's kind of got a dance partner here late.
Yeah, and the 7 car, as you noted there, he always is trying to go back to the front if he's not there. So I think if you're anybody within probably a 2-car radius of Alex Hill for this restart, you better be looking for him to go 3 wide and either try to be the one blocking it or the one going with it, because he will be back at the front before this race is over. I can almost guarantee it. But Cody Nagels and Jeff Merck trapped on the bottom behind 3 guys that they know probably don't plan on going to the top. I look to see them maybe back up until they can find an area to jump up, and it may be more the same of what we saw early in the couple laps on that last restart here, Dawson, with nobody really being on the bottom, everybody bailing to the top, and that creates a lot of mixing of positions. The top starts to roll, and then when somebody dives to the bottom, they inch out, and then all of a sudden here comes the third lane. It's just a mess, and we're going to see that mess all unfold here in the next 3 laps.
I think you're right. I think the first guy to do it, like you said, is probably Alex Hill, maybe Jason Maines. Obviously, if Alex can get his teammates up, he would love to have their help right here. They are all 4, by the way, right there in that little cluster, a couple of rows apart. I didn't even realize that. NBG basically is already hooked up. They just got to get up to the middle. Oh, man, if they can, that's going to be awfully dangerous. Obviously, these guys up front hope it stays behind them. 3 laps to go from Talladega. Chris McCullough is off to the races towards turn number 1. Navarro to his right elbow. Here we go, back up through the gears. Who's going to get the best run? Dead even drag race into turn number 1.
And all these guys are going to be looking 2 laps from now on if we can make it to the white flag to make this race official or not. But as they go side by side here, still through turns 1 and 2, don't think we'll see that first move here until we start going down the back straightaway for the first time. Now we got, looks like 1 peeking out. See if any takers decide to join as they're still 2 wide. Now it's going to go 3 wide. Further back, looks like that's the 00 of Jared Mogard, who we have seen try to be aggressive multiple times tonight. We'll see if it pays off for him right here. It looks like, I think he does indeed have 3 cars still. No, just one car helping for now. And now we're going to see somebody else jump to the top as we go off the rear chase cam. It is going to be Cody Nagels and Jeff Merck. To the middle goes Matthew Baker. He is trying to find a way to get lined up. Oh, some contact up front. Everybody trying to save it. Are they going to? We got one off in the grass. Everybody else still trying to keep it together. And I think that's Dylan Jones does a little dirt track and comes on in the back of the pack. And I'm not sure if he's going to be able to stick with the draft, but through all that, we're 4 wide. It's not going to work.
It is going to work, though. They somehow make it work. Michael Triscaro and Andrew Navarro beating and banging like we're on a short track, like a bull ring through 1 and 2. I have no idea how we're still going 4 wide, 3 rows deep further back as NBG's up against the outside wall.
And I thought within the 2 seconds of the pause there that they would have wrecked. I don't know how they're still keeping it together. 4 wide, but you see a lot of bouncing right now. There it is. Big wreck as Maines goes around to the pack. Now Baker gets turned up along the safer barrier. And the big one, part 2, is going to strike at Talladega. Mullahan comes to a stop in the grass. I think that might end Baker's night here potentially. Brambilla has damage. This one collected a lot of guys. Let's go back and take a look. This will send us into our first overtime. And when you're 4 wide, Dawson, we just don't see it realistically work out too often. I mean, these guys had been 4 wide for about almost an entire lap. And there was just way too much bouncing going on for it to stay like this. Let's take a look first from the TV follow cam here. See if we can pick out exactly what starts this. They go into 3. There's a big checkup there on both the inside and second lane. Baker got a little checked up from it. And then looks like the 5 and the 90 are going to actually make contact. That's what sends Baker up the track, but it's actually Eberhardt when he gets sent up as well. Clips Jason, and they're all around at this point. Everybody's trying to make it through. And actually, Baker, Mogard, and Eberhardt kind of saved it, but unfortunately towards the end is where Baker finally does get turned and then launched up into the air. And then everybody else that's piling in here, Mullahan takes a huge hit. I mean, look at that thing fly. All 4 tires off the ground as he got clobbered by Brock Westmoreland. And then everybody just on the bottom trying to sneak by. You saw Brambilla make some contact there as well. And it's just a product of really hard racing at the end of these races, Dawson.
It's same thing we saw a little bit earlier. They tried 4 wide. They almost wrecked once on the backstretch. Obviously, they were able to get through it, and it usually doesn't work twice. Once is about all you can get away with, and it's another one where it's probably better off we just talk about who wasn't in the accident there, as it's another huge wreck that's going to shuffle the results. In fact, looking at the standings, man, this is quite a shuffle up front now all of a sudden.
And yeah, it was hard to tell. Looked like maybe Eberhardt came up slightly and Baker also came down slightly, which has, again, been the way that most of the wrecks tonight have happened. So another racing deal, but certainly a chaotic one as it causes a lot of damage. It looked like a junkyard coming out of turn 4. Surprised that we actually had as many guys as we did still able to roll to the pits. But that was definitely going to be a fast pair worthy hit for Matthew Baker and John Mullahan, assuming that they had him. And this is going to end some more guys tonight, as it looks like Joshua McCall had retired from the race. So did the 31. Was that actually? Yeah, that was Garrett Maines who actually had to retire from the race early as well. John Mullahan sits on the pits right now. So does Matthew Baker. Those two might, unfortunately, their night might come to an end through this wreck. But up front, one man's unfortune creates another man's opportunity. Christopher McCall is now still leading. He's been leading for the last 2. Navarro in second, Ken McCall Jr. in third, and this is a really, really big deal right here for McCall Motorsports on whether or not they could maybe get a 1-2 finish or just get one of the teammates their first win of the season right here and try to get themselves in the battle of who's got the better team here through the Tuesday Night Thunder Series. So Navarro and Triscaro are going to be the first 2 line up on the outside, and then going back, Devin Ray, actually, he's going to line up on the bottom as well. So McCall Motorsports 1, 2, 3 here on the bottom. Logan York, another guy looking for an underdog win here tonight. Put his name out there, Nash Brambilla. We know he's got the talent to get it done, but has not quite had all the luck play out for him yet. Maybe could get it done right here.
Yeah, I'm looking at several guys here. Obviously, this caution and the shuffle up front, as many front runners as were in that wreck, gives an opportunity here to several guys to get back in this race. Obviously, another just, I don't know how Michael Triscaro continues to do this, but that's the second time tonight he's just narrowly missed the biggest wrecks that we've seen in this race. And now, with 2 laps to go, he only sees a couple guys in front of him. This could be a massive opportunity for him as well. I think he's the guy you got to watch right here on this restart. He's going to be the most aggressive one, I think, out of that top lane as soon as we go back green. But looking back further, Jared Mogard, Nash Brambilla, like you talked about a little bit, John Ward, Dylan Jones, John Darnell, they're all in this race as well as a result of that caution.
And so with this being that first overtime, again, I believe we have, it was either 2 or 3. I'm pretty sure it was 3. Would have known if we got to see the race info here at the start tonight, but actually we could pull it up real quick. And looking at it, it looks like we are going to have, actually it's not on there. I'm pretty sure it's 3 green-white checkers, though, here tonight. And so hopefully we can get it wrapped up in just one, though, and these guys can keep it clean. Again, it'll be 2-lap shootout. If we can make it to the white flag, race will be official. However, if we get a caution that first lap, then we will rack them up and try it again. Christopher McCall rolling on the bottom here with the 2 teammates behind him. They're not going anywhere. So I think if you're Nash Brambilla, or even, I believe that's John Ward just behind Nash, if you want a chance at winning this race or even getting in a money spot, you're going to have to jump to the top here and do it pretty soon. But you know that Michael Triscaro probably not going to split Andrew Navarro as he's in good position. And you know that Navarro is going to be able to hold a nice steady line. Triscaro will push him with all he's got to offer. But as you look further in the back of the pack, Dawson, I mean, it's really narrowed out. Look at the amount of cars that have already had to retire from the race here by the end because of a couple of the cautions that we saw here late. So who catches your eye that maybe comes all the way from the back to the front to win this thing?
Oh, man. I mean, looking back there, I think Daniel Eberhardt's probably a pretty good candidate. I'm looking, you start to get a little further back towards 17th, 18th, 19th. You're going to have a lot happen here in the next 2 laps for those guys to win. Obviously, it's always a good bet to pick Cody Nagels. He's got a clean car, but he's 17th. He's going to have to lot go his way. Mike Davenport, he's off the lead lap. I thought he was back on the lead lap. He's not. But that's another PGR driver that could help Michael Triscaro out. So I think I'm still rocking with Triscaro, but from further back, I'd say, John Darnell or Daniel Eberhardt.
Certainly good picks, and we're about to find out. We got one car heavily damaged towards the back. Couldn't tell who that is just yet. But as they roll through the tribal, getting ready again for overtime number 1. 2-lap shootout to decide the winner of race 2 at Talladega for Tuesday Night Thunder. Green flag is back in the air. It's a good start for Christopher McCall. Same thing for his 2 teammates. Navarro on the outside is looking to get lined up as quick as possible here with Michael Triscaro. You can see a lot of separation as you get about 4 rows back. Jared Mogard did not go, and that is causing a lot of chaos as they are splitting him 2 and 3 wide. We got one on the apron. Everybody looking for any real estate to try to get around that 0-0. I think Eberhardt's actually still on the apron, and he's finally going to work his way up off of turn 2, but up front it's still all Christopher McCall. Michael Triscaro's doing all he can to try to push that 44 out to the lead, but he wasn't able to do it that time. He's going to have to line it up and try it again. And now remember, Dawson, these guys still have to make it another lap and a half. Can they hold off on temps?
It's going to be awfully close. 2 laps is about as far as you can go, and we'll have to see if the setup has changed that at all. Now here comes the outside. They start to surge just a little bit. Second group, watch out. John Darnell starting to make some passes. He may catch this group. It's 8 cars up front, but that may change pretty quickly. 1 lap to go. White flag is in the air.
And Darnell got a push from Cody Nagels, keeping on that out back, but up front, all eyes still on who is going to win this race. Christopher McCall leading on the inside. He's got a push again from his teammate Ken McCall Jr., but on the outside, they're going to line up for another big run down the back straightaway. The question is it enough and enough time? Logan York is going to have to get closer to the back bumper of Michael Triscaro if they want it to be enough of a run, and there it is. Big surge of momentum now. Ken McCall Jr. is going to try to defend it, pushes his teammate, but down into 3. Navarro, he's going to get clear, and he will take it. What a push from Michael Triscaro as that now gives Andrew Navarro the lead. And can Christopher McCall somehow push this 44 out far enough to where he can maybe make a move? Final gas off of turn 4. Down the short chute they go. Final time now into the tribal. Further back, John Ward's going to fan it out 3 wide. Nothing there. Navarro on the bottom. Now Christopher McCall's going to jump to the top. Final push. Is it going to be enough at the line, though? It's going to be Andrew Navarro winning it. What a finish. He gets it by 100th of a second. And Christopher McCall, I think if he had about 50 more feet, he would have won that race.
Yeah, he probably would have. I thought maybe once Navarro went down, Michael Triscaro was going to have a look at it, but really never got the help from Logan York that he needed. But pretty much allowed Andrew Navarro to go up there and win the race. So Navarro, credit to the 34 for getting him up there, and obviously has just enough space to get the win for McCullough. Goes on by him there at the checker flag.
And it's still going to be a good finish for McCall Motorsports, finishing 2nd, 3rd, and Devin Ray just a couple spots outside the money. But taking a look at your results here is see if Navarro decides to bring it around to do a burnout. Navarro, of course, getting the win. Other 2 podium spots are going to go to Christopher McCall in 2nd and Ken McCall Jr. in 3rd. Michael Triscaro routes up a 4th place finish. Logan York just behind him in 5th. Devin Ray finishes 6th. Dylan Jones in 7th. John Ward 8th with Cody Nagels in 9th. And John Darnell, good run for him tonight, rounds out your top 10.
I was looking at the finish, but I'll get that up. Hold on. And yeah, go ahead, because I'm still trying to get it up. Go ahead.
I was going to say, looking on to 11th, then David Sheets, Brock Westmoreland in 12th, Nash Brambilla in 13th. It's going to be Aiden Kirk finishing 14th with Jason Maines in 15th, Daniel Eberhard in 16th, Tony Cox in 17th, Mark Vondell 18th, Sean Hill in 19th, Jared Mogard in 20th. Mike Davenport 21st. Kevin Freese 22nd. Jeff Merck 23rd. Matthew Baker in 24th. John Mullahan in 25th with Garrett Maines 26th. Joshua McCall, last car on the field tonight, he finishes up in 27th. Well, as Dawson was saying, let's go back and take a look at this finish here because it was certainly a wild one. First win of the season for Andrew Navarro, and he's going to all but lock his playoff chances, assuming that he's here for 75% more of the races, or 75% of the total races. And here you go. Coming through the trial vault, man, Chris just was able to get clear in time. And, man, I thought with that push he was going to be able to get it. Could not quite do it, though. He was so close at the line. And Navarro was able to sneak it out. This is just how close it was here, coming down to the finish. And I think maybe if Chris and Trisquet were able to get a little bit more lined up sooner, you see how they were kind of offset. Maybe Chris is able to get it right there at the line as we'll go frame by frame right here. But there it is. By about a quarter of a car length, Navarro gets the win here at Talladega. We're going to go pull in your top 3 for interviews. Stick with us. We'll be right back. Back live at Talladega Superspeedway. We're going to start with your third place finisher here tonight, Ken McCall Jr. from McCall Motorsports. Ken, you got a copy?
Yes, sir. I got you.
All right, well, good run here tonight. You came up a little bit short of, man, I think if you guys could have kept Chris out just probably another 50 feet, Navarro doesn't get clear, and you guys maybe win the race. What more do you think you could have done?
I got a little loose there when I think it was the back stretch or going in the corner there, and I had to check up a little bit not to spin Chris, but man, that new setup that Baker gave us is awesome. That was some fun racing.
It certainly looked like it. We saw 3 and even some 4 wide tonight, and if we see 4 wide, that tells us that the drivers are feeling pretty comfortable. A good point tonight, though, for you here tonight, and a few of your teammates, Chris and Devin, also finishing up here inside the top 6. Now, how do you kind of work after a good race like this in terms of next race? Do you go again for the win, or do you try to just continue and get some good points?
Track position is so important in these things. I think you got to stay up front the whole race if you can maintain. I'm just happy to finish third in one of Ron's races because my luck's usually not too good.
All right, well, before we let you head out here tonight, Ken, is there anyone you'd like to thank or shout out?
Yeah, thank you for doing the broadcast. Thank Ron for putting this thing on, and thank them awesome teammates I got.
All right, well, congrats again on that third place finish. We will see you next week.
Yes, sir.
All right, and that's going to lead us now into your second place finish here tonight. Christopher McCall. Chris, this is Austin and Dawson up in the booth. You got a copy?
Hey, Austin, I got you.
All right, you bring home second. You just barely lost it at the line there by, it looked like just over 100th of a second. You made that move to jump out. Did you think you were going to get him?
I thought I had a chance, and then I seen Trisquet try to go higher, and I knew that was going to kill my side drafting, but it was close. I'm happy to come home with a clean second, though. Could be a lot worse.
We didn't quite get the win here tonight, but again, just as we were kind of talking with Ken about, a really solid points night. It's going to continue to help your position for the playoffs, which we still got a ways for, but in these races, as aggressive as they are, what's kind of the strategy of going about how you get to the front at the end? Do you try to stay there the whole race, or do you maybe stay back early and get there late?
Yeah, it kind of varies. I think going forward, I'll probably try to qualify better and try to stay up front. Managing lanes is really important here. But I was able to come from the back a couple times and just push somebody and get to the front. This package was really, really fun. It's a lot of good racing tonight. I think the strategy is going to be that. I just wanted to get a little practice in before I started to make moves.
All right, well, certainly had a lot of speed, so we'll see if you can deliver it next week with your first win. But before we let you go tonight, is there anyone you'd like to thank or shout out?
Yeah, I got to thank all my teammates, McCullough Motorsports. Devin Ray gave me a good push to win the stage there. Kenny, he's always on my bumper, or I'm on his. And just thank the drivers up front. It was a good win to Navarro, and it was a good, clean race there at the end.
All right, well, thanks for talking to us, Chris, and we will see you next week.
Thank you, sir.
All right, and that is going to lead us now to your winner. Dawson stands by with Andrew Navarro.
Yeah, I do. Hey, Andrew, it's Dawson and Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, you come away with a victory right there. We saw you guys kind of drop back a little bit on the last lap. Looked like you guys were kind of dead in the water a little bit, but hey, you get a nice search down the backstretch. And coming off 4, Chris McCullough leans out of line. Do you know you had it in the middle of the tri-oval, or did you have a little bit of doubt there as Chris got to your quarter panel?
Oh, I had major doubt. I knew I had right side damage, so I knew it was just going to be a parachute. I thought I jumped too early there down the backstretch. I think I didn't pull Triscaro far enough and then drop. And I mean, Christopher, out of 4, I thought I lost it actually because I thought he was going to get clear. But Kenneth actually gave me a shot right before the finish line, and I think that like basically got me the win. So yeah, fun night of racing. Definitely hectic, but that was interesting.
Well, yeah, and talk to us about that a little bit, because we've heard Ken and Chris talk about just how hectic the racing was tonight, how fun it was up front. A new setup tonight, a little bit new package. So you can kind of take us through what was different running up front that we saw all that aggression.
Yeah, the bumper hooking wasn't as bad with the setup. It still can happen just with people that have bad connections with each other. But other than that, it was pretty fun. We were 3x3x3 for a while there. And, I think we were pushing the corners way harder than we were before. So that was a plus. And I think there was only like one person that got like actually truly bumper hooked. So I enjoyed it. I love racing the Xfinity car here. So.
Well, obviously, it looks like you enjoyed it. You come away with the victory tonight. So while we got you here for a second, anybody you want to thank or shout out?
Yeah, I like to thank Celebrity Cruises, Adrenaline Captures, Martin Sports, everybody at Platinum Performance, you guys for broadcasting, and Ron for putting on the league.
All right. Well, congrats on that victory. Thanks for talking to us for a second, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you.
All right, and that is going to just about wrap up our coverage here tonight at Talladega Superspeedway for race 2 of Tuesday Night Thunder. Dawson, it did not disappoint, and hearing drivers say how much they liked the package tonight, we could tell, right? I mean, we saw a lot of 3 and 4 wide racing. Was phenomenal. Still a couple of wrecks here and there, but I think next week, if we got the same package, I think we're going to see a lot of good racing, and it's going to be a little bit cleaner.
Oh, this was several steps in the right direction. I mean, this is a package that I'm kind of jealous I didn't get to try out tonight on the racetrack. It looked like these guys were having fun. I love this car. I talk about it every time I broadcast this car. I love the way it races, and now that we found a setup that works, man, what a heck of a race tonight. A whole bunch of big moves, 4 wide at times for multiple laps, and again, as we get more used to this car, these guys get more used to each other, we get further in the season. I think it's only going to get better from here. I can't wait.
All right. Well, as always, hope everybody did enjoy. Again, one more apologies for the little bit of technical difficulties that we had throughout tonight. Should be good to go for next week. We always thank you guys for sticking around through it. Until next week, though, that's all we got. Dawson, Austin up in the booth. I hope you have a good